It's Belladonna and Weepsy. I have a bit of a teenager in my household. And teenagers can be willful, snotty, snooty, and very annoying to their parents in how they act. I put away a fluffy bed and I brought out what we call the spider web. Now I think she's content to be sitting here with me, and I'm going to try and do some more video for you. Records is what we're going to do, right, darling? We're going to do records. Little brat. Don't get me wrong, I think it's obvious how much I adore this puppy. I'm going to talk some more records, but we are really going to talk movies, because these are going to be soundtrack albums. Look at that, babies. Superman the movie. Got these at a comic book shop. They just happened to have a box of them. Somebody had sold them some records. There he is. Look at that. Christopher Reeve, darlings. The sad, tragic, but awesome. One of the best, if not probably the best film Superman ever. I do like Mr. Cavill, though. I think he's done a fine job. I hope he returns. But look at how cool that is. And nobody gives enough respect to Superman, because they're all bastards they are. My personal favorite. I was so happy to find that, but I was even happier a moment later when I flipped through the box and look what I found. I think I can just show you this one. Superman 2. Dun dun dun. There they are. General Zod, Lursa. What the hell's the other one's name? I don't know. Big creepy dude. Craig. We'll call him Craig. We know there is the Richard Lester version and the Richard Donner cut. We all have our favorites. I, of course, know both of them. I love, of course, the Richard Donner cut because it was well done. However, Richard Lester, for all his goofiness and whatnot, he still made a fun movie. Freak anything Superman, and I get really excited, as you've noticed. But look at that. There he is. Non, that's the guy's name, Non. Non, he doesn't speak. He squeaks a lot. Kind of growls and stuff. He's the one that's defeated by the piece of super cellophane in the Richard Lester version, where Superman suddenly pulls off of his chest a piece of, well, super cellophane. You know, keep your vegetables fresh and your villains fresh. It's weird because he throws it at him, he rolls over, he's like, oh no, I've got super cellophane, and he gets up. So whatever, but still great, still awesome because it's Superman. Alright, so here we are in the land of Gothic tradition. This is the score soundtrack to The Hunger. The Hunger, one of the best and greatest and the first really hardcore, like, Gothic vampire films. Now, like I say, it's more the score. You don't have Bela Lugosi's Dead on there or anything. But again, you've noticed I've mentioned Mr. Bowie a lot. Of course, you have that wonderful scene where he starts to age. That's messed up because of, you know, even David Bowie, old and when he wasn't well, still looked awesome, and to see him like aging rapidly and falling to pieces. But this is a great movie. I suppose it's dated by today's standards, and you know, nobody sparkles or anything in it. But this is cool because it's really a lucky find just to have gotten this one. But The Hunger's cool. If you've not seen The Hunger, and I imagine most of you have if you're very Gothic, but if you've not, you definitely have to check it out, because David Bowie, aside from being just a really cool musician, was a great actor as well. He did a lot of really interesting parts over time, some small ones, some larger. Picture him as Pontius Pilate in The Last Temptation of Christ, or of course in Twin Peaks. Sadly not in The Return, but kind of sort of. Susan Sarandon, interestingly enough, I was know from Rocky Horror back in the day, and many things since. Catherine Deneuve, I'm not sure you say her name, she is a beauty and whatnot. This, you know, you're opening with The Bela Lugosi is dead. It may be a little cheesy, I suppose, to be so, this is so Gothic, but what a cool thing. What a cool movie to have. You just don't see vampire flicks like this now. Like I say, they sparkle, they go to high school, they play football in the woods in the daytime. I've not seen a good vampire picture in a long time, and I love vampire pictures. I can't remember the last great one I saw. What do you think? She doesn't care. Now, I have favorite movies. There is a trio, I guess a quartet now, of films that are of the highest caliber of favorites for me. And that is the Mad freaking Max movies. Look at that, baby. Beyond Thunderdome. Now, this is often considered the least of them just because it's a little bit kitschy. It's got Tina in there, but Tina freaking Turner. First of all, Tina Turner's just awesome. She's one of the coolest women ever to walk the stage. sing the songs, just awesome. Genre-breaking, amazing musician. She was freaking awesome. And that wig she was wearing, those big, huge earrings, and that chainmail thing, like, I don't know, tons and tons of pounds she's wearing. That alone is just freaking awesome. I mean, look at her there. Look at that hair. I wish I had hair like that. And this is when Mel Gibson was still somebody people talked about without lots of hatred. He was wonderful as Max. He barely said anything for most of the movies except for the original, really. And I like Tom Hardy a lot in the new one. I love that new movie a lot, actually. I was very into it. I think, this is another thing. They're often imitated, never really replicated. And Thunderdome is cheesy, but it's still really awesome. And I tell you, when I got this, I was really excited because, number one, you have a lot of cool artwork from the film in there, if you can see that. But I love little bonuses that you get, originals and authentics, and holy crap, there they are, Tina and Max. We don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home. All we want is what is beyond the Thunderdome. It's still a great song. If you don't like it just because it says Thunderdome, you're stupid. Tina is freaking awesome. Mel was great in his day. Mad Max is too freaking cool. If you've not seen the Mad Max films, and even go back to the beginning, the original kind of, low budget Ozploitation film, it's the Australian, so it's an Ozploitation, not exploitation. Everything about Mad Max is awesome. Those are the ways, those guys started that with nothing really, Then they got bigger, and these are the ways that these sorts of films should be made, I think. So here, I am a huge fan of Mr. James Dean. This is James Dean. It's a tribute to him from the selections from this film. I don't love this picture. He's very handsome. It doesn't matter. But I don't love this picture because it's clearly like this is off the set of Rebel Without a Cause. It's very posed. His hair's like really perfect, brill creamed up. He was a little sloppy dude. He wasn't exactly Mr. Put Together. But, he was always posing. He was the first and best of the posers, I think. It was very cool to have that. Now, this was really freaking cool. When Mr. Dean died, 1955, horrible tragedy, about a year later, I think it was, a film was released called The James Dean Story. I believe it was one of the first of its kind, if not the first, that was sort of like a post-mortem biography of sorts. Almost more like a documentary, but a film at the same time. From the director, Robert Altman, who's a very well-known director, did like films like MASH and whatnot. And it's the James Dean story. Can you imagine what it was like when he died? People went nuts, bananas. And then they're like, oh, marketing. And they put this movie in the theaters. And there's interviews with like family members, friends. It's wonderful and both ridiculously stupid at the same time. It makes no sense. Things like, he sat on the beach, he watched the girls, he envied their freedom, or something stupid like that. But it's still freaking awesome. It's still freaking James Dean, and, I think he'd love it. What's great about this, first of all, you have this awesome artwork of him laying there holding a little car. Not exactly the car he died in, but still. This is a very morbid and cool sketch. It's very, very dark and disturbing, but if you look, what's great, this is Spanish. This is a Spanish edition of this. I found a freaking Spanish edition of this. I was so excited. And this is an original too. Original, Spanish did not cost me a whole lot of money. But it's so cool to have things like this because there will be a time when it'll be a lot harder to find them. Now this one I think cost me a few dollars. I found it in a records shop, like a little divey one. I'm a huge fan of this film series, even the later ones after the first. The first is one of the most phenomenal films ever made. The others are entertaining. But this is the soundtrack to Jaws 2. Alright, Jaws, look at that. Tina, help me. Oh no, Eddie, swim, there's a shark. Crunch. No more Eddie. What was she going to do anyway? But then again, just to sit there and be like, oh, there goes Eddie. Now, the thing is, Jaws 1 is freaking awesome. It's one of the greatest films ever made, as I said. I adore the shark beyond belief. I adore the shark. As a child, I wanted the shark in my house. I would have fed it people and been happy. But this was cool in the sense you still had Roy Scheider in it. I know he wasn't excited about going into this again. But hey, they paid him. Actors want to work. They want money. I want money. I would do it. So he goes into this, and the idea is that, there's another shark. I mean, how unlucky is that? This is before they went to, like, the fourth one, and they're like, oh, this time it's personal, the shark's hunting the family. I mean, that movie's horrible beyond belief. I still watch it anytime I can, but It's so bad. This is just another freaking shark on Amity Island. First of all, it was hard enough that you had that one in the beginning. It's very rare, big, wrong waters for it. And another one? Another freaking shark. This time it's going after the kids in the boats. I like the idea of that. It's not like as great of a movie by any means. Now the shark is working, so they're overusing it. They like set it on fire. That was kind of cool. It looked bad, sort of Freddy Kruegerish, I guess. But was interesting because these kids are going out sailing when they're not supposed to, I guess. And of course they get stuck out there and the shark's hunting them down. And they're freaking the hell out. There was like some good people in there. What's his name? Arnie Cunningham from the Christine movie. And he directed all those episodes of Dexter and things like that. He was on the boats and stuff. It flips over a helicopter and it kind of eats the pilot, I guess. I mean, really, come on. But it was still a lot of fun. It wasn't terrible at this point. It was still a watchable and decent movie. It lacks a Robert Shaw, but anything without Robert Shaw, I mean, you lack a Robert Shaw. Just what you're missing out. It didn't have Richard Dreyfuss, of course. But it was still really cool. I got picked this up for a few dollars. I love anything Jaws as well. This was a fun find. I don't have a copy of the soundtrack of the first one. I'd love to. There is The Who, the band The Who. They did the rock opera Tommy. Now, I've seen it on stage, and it was wonderful. I'm sure many people have. It's a very big deal. Then there is the movie Tommy. Of course, The Who in it, many rock stars, and Margaret Oliver Reed, Jack Nicholson singing, hello. Not badly, I suppose, but not great either. Eric Clapton's in it, Elton John playing the pinball wizard. Who else is there? Oh, there's so many cool people. This movie, Tina Turner's in here. Tina is the acid queen. And that is a freaking nuts scene. This, I don't even know how to explain it. It's freaking insane, this movie. If you've not seen it, it's experience. I'm not going to say it's like a great film necessarily. It's a hell of an art piece, though, in its own right. And it's just tripped out. I mean, if you've seen a version of it on stage, you get such a different experience. This is something else entirely. I mean, believing, Roger Daltrey as Tommy is a bit of a stretch, but it's still great. Keith Moon is the dirty Uncle Ernie. And again, you have Oliver Reed as the, I guess you'd call him stepfather, Oliver Reed. He was nuts. Anne Margaret, beautiful Anne Margaret, playing this rather insane mother. And of course, like I said, Jack Nicholson playing a doctor singing. I mean, look at some of this artwork. This is freaking amazing. All right. But there are some things that are just an experience. Films you should see. Music you should check out just because it's an experience. I'm not saying you're going to love it. I'm not saying you're witnessing the greatest film on earth or anything. But hey, Tina's in it. Why not? Weeps, you've been very good. I'm very pleased. Isn't she adorable in her little spider's web cocoon? What a darling. Okay. Thank you much for joining us. Like, subscribe, all that sort of thing. And I'll see you soon, darlings. Bye.